This is Nancy Ekpezu, and I'm the lead consultant at Pezu Smith Consulting. I'm a chartered administrator, a professional manager, and a certified life coach. And I'm also proudly the author of three amazing books. Dear Educator, which was my first book and has sold over 700 copies already since its publication in 2019. And my second book, The School Administrator's Companion, which is a must-have for every school administrator. And then, of course, my third book, Effective Boarding House Administration, which made waves in 2021 when it was published, and which has been a very useful tool for everybody, anyone who is starting a school with a boarding house or who is already working in a boarding house. And so those are the books I have. And at this point, I would like you to know that my next book is coming out this year and it's going to come out really great, just like my other previous books. So expect my fourth book and probably the fifth. Who knows? I'm working behind the scene and you'll get to know what I've been working on. So I've been an administrator and a manager in four reputable organizations. And one of the things I tell people is that it's very difficult to manage other people when you do not know how to manage yourself. And you can trust me to always bring you materials and resources and content that will be very useful to you as a manager or as an administrator. So today I put together a little thing hurriedly, but I hope to take the time to explain. And the topic is, guess what? Understanding and managing yourself as a manager, because managing other people starts with managing yourself. So very quickly, I'm going to share my slides now on this very important topic, and we will hit the ground right away. Okay, so I'm starting. I had to start producing slides because I've seen that they come in very helpful when I need to get anything done. So that is it. So understanding and managing yourself as a manager. And remember to visit my website, www.nancyekpezu.com. Is intentionally in my name so that you always remember. So remember, my name is my website, www.nancyekpezu.com. You can always reach me on WhatsApp at +234 803 5880367. I reside in Lagos, Nigeria. Just in case you're reaching me from outside Nigeria, remember the code +234. So let's get right into the topic. And I'll be starting with a quote. He that would govern others must first master himself. Like I said at the beginning, it's very difficult to manage other people when you do not know how to manage yourself. It is very, 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 very difficult. Let me change this to the reading view so that we get a broader stuff with this. All right, so here would govern others must first master himself. Before you can lead other people, before you can manage other people, manage an organization, you have to invest your time and resources to develop yourself and learn to manage yourself. And one of the things you need to learn to manage is your emotions, okay? So let's look at some requirements of a good manager, okay? You must have some level of self-awareness. Nobody's perfect and nobody completely understands himself. It's a work in progress. We are always a work in progress. And self-awareness is also a process. I don't think that is just a one-off act of doing an analysis, or these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, because we're constantly evolving. And at every point, we should be able to be aware of ourselves, where we are, what our emotions are, the effect on other people, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, the things to concentrate on, and where our emotions are actually leading us. Then you must have a good level of emotional intelligence. If you've been a manager like I have, you know that is a very taxing thing to be a manager. You deal with people, you deal with resources, and human beings do not think one way. They don't think straight. They come with all of their complexities and all of their emotions and all of their cultural backgrounds, all of their baggage and so much. And they come to the workplace with it. And as a manager, you have to learn to navigate your way around these people and also to manage them. And then, of course, you have to learn how to manage your time. Very, very important, your time. If you do not know how to manage your time, you spend, you do hours you should be using to do productive things on other things that are not productive. And then, of course, stress comes with being a manager. And you cannot say you've never been stressed as a manager. If you've never been stressed, then I have to question if you're actually having enough work to do on your job. So developing all of these will help you to improve your performance as a manager and also help you in how you manage your social and family reactions, okay, relationships. So you cannot improve or develop new capabilities unless you know what level of capability you currently possess. So I always let people to do, I advise people that I mentor or coach to do a self-analysis to understand themselves, take your personality test, find out your weaknesses, find out your strengths, know your skill set, or what skills are you great at. For example, I'm very great with making presentations to boards, to giving data, so record keeping, presenting good reports. I'm also very good with getting those under me to work and evaluating them very well. In fact, I'm able to make my subordinates work. The feedback I always get is that even when they were not working very much before, the moment they work with me, I make them work. Even when I'm not micromanaging them, they know that I'm going to evaluate what they do, and I know whether they have been productive on their positions or whether they're whiling away time. So you have to know what your capabilities are, what your skill sets are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. We all have weaknesses. Much as I'm a very productive person on my job, I also admit that I have weaknesses like any other person. But I'm not going to tell you those weaknesses here. There'll be a session where I'll talk about weaknesses and probably I'll open up to you and tell you all about it. Okay, then we have our self-beliefs as managers. Anything you believe about yourself and your job is eventually going to show. Do you avoid new self-knowledge? Do you resist acquiring information in order to protect yourself or your self-esteem? Are you afraid to make a fool of yourself or to try new technology or to try new methods of doing the same old things that you have been doing? I recall in one of my jobs, I had to lead a team on change management, and it was a very tough one, getting people who had been in a school, in an organization for like 20 years, 22 years, telling you this is how we've always done it. What new thing is she bringing? After all, we have been doing fine before she came, that kind of a thing. So as a manager, what is your belief system? You constantly have to question your belief system. Are you for change? Are you adaptive? Are you reflective? Do you have a growth mindset? Do you want to embrace new things and leave the old while picking the good things from the old that you still need to move to the future? And with all of the things happening in technology and the constant innovations and changes going on, you cannot have a static or anti-growth mindset. You must embrace a change mindset. You must embrace a growth mindset as against being static and being stagnant. Okay, so you have to be open to new information. And that means you're constantly reading and researching and moving with the right people who can affect your mindset, because you cannot perform as a manager more than your belief system. That's what we have found out. If you believe that you can do it, you can do it. So if you have a can-do attitude, a can-do belief system, then it's going to show on your job. But if you constantly feel, oh, I can't do it, I don't know why, this one is too hard, oh, they're just stressing me here, oh, there's that, and complain belief system, that is going to show. Then you must find time for self-analysis. It's fine enough to blame everybody around you for everything that goes wrong. But as a manager, do you spend quality time analyzing yourself and your actions and how you have performed as a manager? Remember what we say, everything rests and falls on leadership. And as a manager, you must have leadership skills to be able to lead the people. And when things go wrong, to be able to take responsibility. So you need to do this regularly. Analyze yourself. How am I performing? How are they perceiving me? Why are we not getting results in this area? Why are we getting results in this area and not in this area? What can I do about it? What have I done? How has my effect been on the people? Are they better people because they met me, or are they worse off for meeting me? So these are all things that you need to constantly, analyze, self-analysis. Then, of course, you need feedback from others, because sometimes we're not totally truthful with ourselves. So even in your analysis, there's only a perspective that you are able to bring. Perspectives from other people that you lead, are your colleagues or your superiors. Maybe you have a board you report to. You might want to ask them, how am I doing? Okay, how is my, and I like that my previous jobs, I was always evaluated on my performance. And so I got feedback from the people that I reported to, maybe my employers and the board members that I had to report to. So their feedback always helped me to reflect on ways that I could do better. So you need to get feedback from the people that you lead. Sometimes we need to hear from the people that we lead. Maybe we're coming with all the gusto and all the energy, and they are not just they are just wondering, oh, why all this energy? You know how stressed we are. Maybe we are overloaded with too much work or whatever. Or maybe your style of leading is not just working for them. You need to work, you need to get feedback from them, from the people you lead, from your subordinates, okay, and then from your colleagues, if there's an organogram where you are on the same level with some other people, and then also from your superiors, your employers, how do they perceive you? From your vendors, how do they perceive you? Okay. Then you might want to have personal disclosure. Every manager comes with his or her own quirks and idiosyncrasies. And sometimes disclosing a personal disclosure, which is the act of revealing personal or private information about yourself to other people, might help. Perhaps you're a divorcee and you've just taken up a new job while going through the process of divorce. It's going to show somehow on your job. So you might want to just let your team know, oh, as I'm taking this job, I'd like you to know that I'm actually working on a divorce. And so sometimes I might withdraw into myself. It's nothing personal to all of you, or you've not done anything wrong. It's just that I'm processing with the emotions that come with getting a divorce. Maybe you've just lost a child. Nobody prays for that. But these things have negative impacts on us as individuals, and you might need to make a personal disclosure. Maybe things that could affect you, or how you behave in the workplace, or whatever. That's usually makes you vulnerable, but sometimes I've found out that it helps you to connect with the team members. The downside of it is that they could take advantage of you. Or maybe you're a single lady and you're leading a team and everybody's there, oh, we don't even know what's her private life like, what's this? Why you're not to spill out all of your private details, it might be helpful to just let them know what your struggles are. And if the ones who are sensitive will rise up to see how to fill that gap, sometimes when you're low. The downside again is that you might be taken advantage of, and all of that. But it helps. It has its, positive sides. Then you want to reflect also on past events. You give time to reflect on events that have happened in the organization. How much have you achieved since you took on this position? Or is it just routine every day, doing the same thing day in, out, day in, out? If you were to leave now, for example, what would be ascribed to your administration as the achievements that were done during your tenure? Okay, you need to develop core values. For me, I'm always known for integrity. In all of the schools I've worked, nobody can say that, oh, Ms. Nancy embezzled money here. I'm also known for fairness. I do not cheat staff one for another. I treat all staff equally, no matter how tough it gets. So if you get close to me, normally my subordinates would tell you, if you like, go and be sucking up to Ms. Nancy. When it comes to evaluation or when it comes to delegation, she treats everybody exactly the same way, and she's not going to score you high just for being close to her. She's going to treat you just like anybody else, and she's going to tell you the truth, whether it hurts you or not. I'm known for integrity. I'm known for fairness. I'm known for productivity. In every organization I've worked, I've always been productive. In fact, I remember 2 positions where I resigned and they had to bring in people from outside to take on that position. One was laid off after a year because they kept comparing the performance. Oh, when Ms. Nancy was here, this is not how things were. She was always doing this. She was going the extra mile. She was doing this. She was doing that. I'm always also known for good customer service in the organizations where I have worked. So you need to decide, what are your core values? What do you want to be known for as a manager? What are the things that you hold very dear? For me, integrity, productivity, good customer service, okay, fairness to everyone, fairness and equity. And then, of course, develop emotional intelligence, very, very important. And then develop a positive attitude towards change. We call it the ATC factor. How is your ATC factor as a manager? So emotional intelligence, what exactly is this? Is your understanding of your feelings and the feelings of others, for motivating yourself and for managing your emotions effectively in relationships. And I must tell you this is essential for effective leadership and management, and it has a direct impact on your work performance. In every school, in every organization where I've been an administrator, one of the things I get as feedback is, Ms. Nancy, we never get to see you lose your cool and shout and yell like other managers do. Were you trained to do this? And yes, the answer is that I had to train my emotions to not shout at my subordinates. It would be a very rare thing to have me shout and yell. That would be very, very rare. So I would rather control it and then find a way, a suitable time to call you in and talk to you about it. So you need to understand how your feelings are, what your feelings are, and how your feelings affect others, and use those feelings to motivate yourself and learn to manage your emotions effectively to be able to develop relationships with the people that you lead. Okay? So self-awareness is actually a part of emotional intelligence. And when you're self-aware, you can see where your thoughts and emotions are guiding you. What predominant thoughts do you have in a day? Do you have a can-do attitude? Do you constantly think, oh, this job is such a horrible one. I can't wait to get away from here. I do not like the people. How can you control the way that you think about your job as a manager, no matter how tough it is? Awareness requires you to be introspective about yourself and to take responsibility for things that happen instead of constantly dumping the responsibility and the blame on other people. So basically, let's look at understanding your own emotions. What emotions do you have to grapple with? Do you feel frustration? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel insecure? Do you have an imposter syndrome? So you need to understand your emotions. What emotions do you exude to your members? Do you let them know that they can do it? Do they see positivity oozing from you? So learn to understand your emotions, learn to understand your own emotions and deal with them as a manager, because they ultimately affect the people that you lead. Then you need to understand other people's emotions. When people come to you angry, about things that have happened, how do you reflect to see into their minds what's really going on and what they are passing through? Some level of empathy, to understand their emotions and put yourself maybe in their shoes. That will also help you in fostering relationships with the people that you lead. And then, of course, self-management. How do you manage those emotions? If you're a manager who is always yelling, when you come to the office, everybody starts running helter-skelter because they're scared. Oh, madam is here, our guy is here, the boss is here. You need to have some level of executive presence that makes the staff respect you for your position. You need to differentiate between an executive presence and the fear of you. People should not be afraid to come to your office to discuss issues. People should not be afraid to approach you when there are issues to be addressed or to talk to you about their concerns. So you need to learn to manage your emotions, okay? You also need to invest in building interpersonal relationships with those in your lives, whether in your office, whether in your subordinates on your same level, at the board level, everybody that you work with. And then self-control has to do with managing your emotions. I said it earlier, learn to manage your emotions. And very importantly, you need to learn to manage your time and how to prioritize things. You know that, because your job, you don't have a to-do list every day handed to you by someone else and you're the one managing yourself or managing others, you can get to the office and spend your time doing everything else except what you should be doing. Very tempting, for example, is getting on Facebook or any other social media platform during office hours, because one thing will lead you to another and another and another. When I was an employee, I had a policy not to go on social media during office hours. If you saw anything on my social media platform during office hours, it means I had pre-scheduled it and it was just running on its own without my presence those hours. And so it's a time stealer. It steals your time, a time killer. It steals your time. Social media will steal your time as a manager, unless, of course, your job involves managing social media. And I doubt you have that much time, that much luxury of time as a manager to do it. Those are things to be delegated to those in admin or those that you supervise, okay, because it's very demanding, takes a whole lot of your time. Okay, you maybe just checking out that they are doing the right thing and not posting things that are relevant. And by the way, things that go out should be approved before they go out. So how do you divide your time between the specific activities and the tasks that you are assigned or are responsible for? Do you know about time blocking? What do I do between 8 to 9? What do I do between 9 to 10 a.m. and all of that, so that you can actually account for the hours in your day. There's something I used to do when I was an employee and as an executive administrator. I would normally plan the next day with my secretary, who will sit down and plan, oh, okay, these are the things we'll be doing the next day. I'll give her a copy and I take a copy. And then I'll tell her, you know what, in between the day, just walk into my office and tell me, Miss Nancy, you remember we planned our day today? Have you achieved so? Even though she was my subordinate, I had to be accountable. Okay, a lot of bosses do not like that because it makes them vulnerable, but it really helped me in achieving. So my secretary just walked in and said, Miss Nancy, remember we said we're going to send in this report by 12 noon, by noon. We said we're going to talk to this client. You said we're going to have a plan for the meeting for the next day and this and that. Have you done them? So I'll go through my list and check. At the end of the day, I reconcile what has been done, and then she also knows what I've achieved and the ones we're carrying forward to the next day, if they were unavoidably to be carried on. And if there were things that had to stay after school hours, I would do them. And the next day, I'll let her know that they've been done so she can get them on her list. So accountability helps. Even though you're the boss, you shouldn't just be the boss and an unproductive boss. One of the things that'll help you is to be accountable. So I've shared a trick with you to always share what you need to do with your maybe the front desk officer, or if you have an executive assistant, the person can work with you. Not every position comes with that. I had the privilege of having that on my previous positions. So they kind of worked with me to always make sure that I was productive. And we all got the glory together when we got the achievements, okay? So learn to divide your time between the specific activities and tasks that you are assigned, and learn to plan your day ahead. If not, you'll always be dealing with issues, and solving problems is not making progress usually. Okay, so the fact that you're solving problems and everything is thrown at you haphazardly doesn't mean you're making progress. You have to be proactive about making progress as a manager, okay? Then what's the effect of poor time management? Failure to manage your time damages your effectiveness and causes stress. Very soon you have too many things undone, deadlines not met, and then you start running helter-skelter and bullying everybody under you. This must be done. We have to do this tomorrow. Instead, you can work, with proper planning of your time and make sure that you meet deadlines so that you reduce the stress that comes with managerial positions, okay? And then, of course, no matter how organized you are, no matter what great time management system you have, you work in a system, and sometimes the system will impose things on you. I remember working in an organization where it just looked like tough, stiff deadlines were the in thing. Much as I tried to change it, there was always something thrown from a bigger part of the organization that I was a part of, and they also impacted on me. And so for such things, they brought stress to me because I'm a very organized person. I'm methodological. I like things to be done procedurally. I like to be organized and just check my diary. By the way, this is my diary right here. I have it everywhere I go. For today, I already knew all of the things I'll be doing. I already penned it down that, well, just spend time out of a busy schedule to record this video. So that's how my time is, okay? And so that's how it is, okay? So you no matter what you do as a manager, stress comes to the position. What you do is learn how to manage the stress and make sure you do not contribute to stressing yourself by being organized, but make room for those things that are thrown at you from outside, and then learn how to manage the stress. So you cannot control other people's actions, but you can be responsible for your own actions and your reactions to their actions, okay? So invest in studying yourself as well. Every effective manager knows what he or she does best and how to apply your strengths in all aspects of your job. You need to know that. What are your strengths? What strengths do you bring as a manager? Even though you can have 10 managers lined up. Yes, we all develop managerial skills. We are in that position to develop our leadership skills, or we're bringing the leadership skills there and still developing on what we already have. But you'll see that we all have different strengths. When I lead a team, I do not shout at people. But for some reason, things just get done because I'm very organized. And it's tough to work with me if you're not organized, okay? Because I like procedures, I like policies, I like things to be done properly. I'm very professional. I don't dabble into all my subordinates' private lives and join them in the gossip and the grapevine and tearing down. While I want to care for them and like them, I like to also maintain a distance that helps my executive presence and likes me to be, that makes me to be respected for my position. So effective managers know what they do best and apply their strengths in all aspects of their jobs. I'm also very great at report writing. I'm great at making presentations when I need things to be done for the organization, how to convince the board, for example, that this should be done, let's avoid this, and to advise the boards or my employers. I do such things very well. I'm also very good with spotting out areas that need to be addressed immediately so that they don't blow out of proportion and become difficult to manage. I'm very quick at noticing stress areas. I'm also good at noticing employees that are going to perform. Maybe during interviews, I can tell somehow intuitively that, well, these are going to be great people, or this person has good skills to offer. They're not just marketing themselves and hyping during their interviews. And a lot of times when I have selected people to work, they've been quite productive because I took my time to thoroughly interview and get to know them before making an offer to them. I'm also very good at making sure that my subordinates do not remain at the same level. Nobody's ever worked with me and did not develop their skills. In fact, when I leave, they'll tell me, wow, I can do this now, I do this. And they do that while I'm here. I'm also with them. But when I'm gone, it always becomes so glaring, like, wow, I didn't realize how much I had developed myself just working with you. So invest in yourself, know your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? One of my weaknesses, I didn't want to say that here, but I'm going to open up, is that I do not like to say goodbyes. When I have developed relationships in organizations, I do not like a send forth because it makes me emotional and I can cry. No matter how much I hold myself, then my last day at work is always a very tearful one. I will spend it crying, remembering the times that I shared with the people and how much I've affected their lives and how they have also affected me. So I get very emotional. No matter how I try to control it, I find myself crying a tear or two on my last day. And sometimes I'm really weeping like a baby. So I get very touchy and sensitive during send forth. And there's a part of me that can cry. And my subordinates usually get to see a different part of me. So I like to do that personal disclosure ahead of time so that they don't get shocked, like, oh, so these are our tough madam, like this guy crying like a baby. So yes, that's one thing. You've learned one thing about me today, that I'm a crying baby when it comes to saying goodbyes. Okay, so study yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know, areas that you're developing on. So I hope this has been useful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them to info@nancyekpezu.com or send them to pezusmithconsulting@gmail.com. You can also send them to my WhatsApp at +234. That's the code for Nigeria, 803-588-0367. Connect with me. Visit my website, www.nancyekpezu.com. That's also where my blog is. When you get there, check for my blog. Check for the products I have. I have various digital templates and forms and things to make your work easier as an administrator or a manager. That's my WhatsApp that I just read out. And these are my email addresses that I check daily, and my team also checks. info@nancyekpezu.com. This is the one for the team. And this is info@pezusmithconsulting@gmail.com. If you'd like it to come to me directly, you can use Nancy@nancyekpezu.com. Okay. And then, of course, my YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever there are new video uploads. Okay, so that's my blog, is right there on my website. And I have a Facebook group called Educational Administration Network. You might want to join, especially if you're a school administrator. And then, of course, my Facebook page, Nancy Ekpezu, is open to everybody, whether you're in the education sector or any sector. Then, of course, my LinkedIn profile, Nancy Ekpezu. And I forgot to add, Instagram is also Nancy Ekpezu. And you can Google me. I'm very Googleable. Just type in Nancy Ekpezu and a lot of information will just be there for you. So until the next video, I hope that you have found this one useful. You might want to drop tips there about understanding yourself. Please do that in the comment. I would love to hear from you how this video has been useful to you, what you intend to do with it, and to add also to what I can. You know, nobody's a sole custodian of knowledge or information. I can only share within the time limit allotted for this video. So I'm sure you have lots of other things you want me to learn as well. I'm a lifelong learner, and I'll come back to read the comments and everything else that you're saying. I love doing this for you, and I hope that you also love listening and listening to me and watching me. Until the next video, it is bye-bye. I love you.